Hey Spooky Ghouls! Congratulations! If you've made it this far, that means your scarf is complete. At the end of your Halloween scarf, it's always fun to put some embellishments, and that's usually where I will put something like a Halloween pin, or for beginners, you can actually stitch over your existing yarn with a different colored yarn to create some type of a design. And in this simple exercise, I'm just going to show you how to do little bats with black yarn. As you can see, I've already done one. This bat was constructed using a yarn needle with black yarn. As you can see, the pattern of this scarf is horizontal. So that's how I started my stitches with this black yarn. I just did horizontal big stitches. I didn't do them tight. I kept the stitches very loose, and I don't use a lot of yarn because we don't want to weigh the scarf down. If you put too much weight in your design, it can begin to pull away from your scarf. So you want to use a lighter thread if it's going to be a very big, heavy design. In my example, I'm using tiny bats, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just using the same size black thread as I started with the orange in my scarf. So to begin, remember, just keep your stitches nice and light. Don't pull them taut. And I'll just start a new bat down here. And basically we're just going to pull it through, and I'm not even going to do anything with the tail yet. I'm just going to leave it because we're going to tie it in a knot when I'm finished. I always like doing designs with black yarn because when I'm finished I can tie it in a knot and you can't see it. Usually with lighter colored yarn, like with this orange, if I were to create a knot, it would be difficult to conceal it. So usually you won't tie knots, but with black thread you can because it hides them so easily. So remember, just start stitching horizontally and keep it nice and loose. You don't want it tight. And remember, you're just going horizontal, kind of going with the existing pattern. And you don't have to be precise. And you'll see some gaps. You'll see some orange peeking through. Don't worry about that. You see how I've got a little bit of orange peeking through right here? That's okay. We'll take care of that in a minute. And remember, just keep these loops loose. You don't want them tight. You want it to look natural against the existing yarn. Nice and light. Oh, and sometimes you'll go through the wrong hole and pull your thread out. That's okay. Just go back in. And now, when you've got the basic design, if you have some orange holes, that's where we're going to focus on trying to fill those up. And don't worry if you can't fill up the holes with the basic stitches that you've done so far. We can always tie some knots on top to conceal some of the orange thread. And a more advanced way to add designs to your scarf is to actually knit them in at the time you're knitting. where you're actually incorporating black thread as you're knitting the scarf. That's more advanced. This is just a simple technique to use while you're learning, where you can have something neat at the end of your scarf until you're comfortable adding multiple types of yarn to your scarf as you knit it. And there we have our second bat. And an easy way, like I said, to seal it up is to just tie a knot in the back. Since it's black thread, it's difficult to see the knot, so that's one of my favorite ways when I'm using black thread, is to just tie a knot. And if I had done this neater, you would have a bat on the back as well as the front, but in this quick example, I'm just showing you one side, how to do it nice and neat. But remember, and it has to be a real nice loose knot. You don't want to tie it tight. You want it to look natural on your scarf. There you go. 2 little bats, and I'll probably add maybe a larger one up here in the corner. Happy knitting!